All right, everybody. Welcome to the agency call tonight. We're going to be talking about really the landmines that new agents step on the most. We're going to talk about, I guess, the things that new agents need to really focus on if they want to win in this business. And, really the theme that you'll hear, here over probably the next, 25, 30 minutes is really to treat your business like a business. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Treat your business like a business. If you treat it like a business, you get paid like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, you'll be out of business. So a couple of different realities in this business. Business is obviously hard, and it's a journey. Some people figure this out pretty quickly, and other people, it takes them a little bit of time before they have that light bulb moment. Everybody's different. I personally helped 8 families my first weekend. Now, that's just because I happened to have a light bulb moment a little bit sooner than other people. Some people I know didn't really help their first person for 60, 90 days. Other people, they helped a few families here or there, but they were close to 6 months to a year into the business before the light bulb really went off, and they went from helping 1, 2 families a week to helping, 10 families a week. And I think that's a big thing to understand, is that everybody has that light bulb moment at a different time, but one of the common denominators of people who have that light bulb moment faster than others are people who condense time frames. Okay, so what I mean by that is doing a lot of appointments in a short period of time. So why did I have a light bulb moment so quickly? Well, the fact is, my first weekend in the field, I had over 20 appointments. So I had a lot of opportunities to be able to talk to families. I look at agents who, we talk about getting to your first 100 appointments as quickly as possible. An agent who takes 6 months to do 100 appointments versus an agent who takes 6 weeks to do 100 appointments, that is just a totally different learning curve. Okay. And that's where you can see the business just absolutely start to make sense for an agent, because they hit every objection they could possibly hit on the phone. Like, to get 100 appointments, like, how many people do you need to actually go ahead and talk to? Fair amount more than 100, 300, 400 people, whatever that number is. You're on the phone, you're getting every objection you could possibly get. And by the time that you get through 100 appointments, you've seen 80, 90% of the normal stuff that we come across in this business. And of course, there's the unicorn situations where you're like, how do I help this guy who's got this pocket of money, make a tax-free income? And what do I do for this strategy? And, I've got this person who has this really weird loan for their mortgage, whatever it is. You're going to come across these different scenarios. That's like 5 to 10% of the time. The rest of the time, it's very, very basic things. You can only do so many final expense appointments and then realize, oh man, there's like the same 3 or 4 objections. You can only do so many mortgage protection appointments and realize, okay, there's only so many things that they can say. Pay off the whole mortgage, half the mortgage, or do an equity protection. You get into IUL, it gets a little bit more nuancy, of course, but you realize that you start saying the same things over and over and over again, explaining how these things work and, dealing with the same objections. So business is hard. Business is a journey. People are going to say no. People are going to hang up on you. Rejection is absolutely a thing. You have to get over it. You will buy a batch of leads and you'll absolutely bomb on that batch of leads. And in order to stay in this business, you're going to have to go back and squeeze every drop that you possibly can out of that batch and buy another batch. And you have to be able to have that grit to be able to do that. Now, that's like a mindset thing that I believe can absolutely be developed. There's some people who come to this business and they just have a little bit more grit than other people. And that grit is typically, I get a batch of leads, I get my butt kicked. Am I willing to go right back to it? Or am I just going to say the leads suck? Now, at the end of the day, leads are leads. And this is like a big reality of this business. They could be $100 lead or they could be a 50-cent lead. I've had $100 leads tell me they didn't fill it out, and I've had dollar leads be $10,000 commissions. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when I look at a lead and I look at the price of a lead, typically a more expensive lead to me simply means less time on the phone booking appointments. That's all that means to me most of the time. So if I've got 10 $100 leads, I should be able to get a hold of more of those people immediately. If I've got 100 $10 leads, it's going to take a fair amount longer. And if I've got 1,000 $1 leads, I'm going to be dialing all day long to book the same number of appointments. It's what it is. And in the beginning, there's this time money pendulum that Grady Polson taught us about. In the beginning, you've got a lot of time, but not a lot of money. So typically you buy leads that are less expensive, they're aged, you got to get more of them to book the same number of appointments. Don't have a lot of money, but you got a lot of time. So you're willing to dial from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. As you start making money in this business, your time becomes more valuable. You want to spend more time selling insurance than you do booking appointments. So you get to a point where you build up a skill set where you can book pretty much any lead, whether it's $1 lead or $100 lead. It doesn't matter. If they answer the phone and you're able to say, hey, is this what you were looking for or something different? And they say, yep, that's what I was looking for. You book the appointment. And that person has the confidence to say, well, I'm going to buy the $30 leads, the $40 leads, whatever. And it doesn't really matter what the specific lead type is, but the idea is, as a new agent, when you're getting started, you're typically buying an older lead and you need a lot more of them so you can get a lot more swings so that you have a lot more opportunities to grow and to learn. And then a more experienced agent, if you gave them, it's like talking about an NBA player versus a high school player for basketball. If you were to give an NBA player 100 basketballs and say you're going to do 100 free throws, the NBA player is going to make like 98 out of them. But the person who's in high school, they might make 30, 40, 50. I don't know what the number is, but it's like that person who's in the NBA, you could give them half the balls, a quarter of the balls, and they could still potentially make more shots than you because they've been doing this longer. You give me 10 leads who answer the phone, and most likely I'm going to book 8 or 9 of them. And if you give a new agent 100 leads, it might take them all day to book 8 or 9. It's a part of the business. So you have to understand that when it comes to leads, all that the dollar amount that a lead cost means is how long you're most likely going to be dialing through a batch of leads to book a bunch of appointments. Lower the price, longer you're going to have to dial, more times you're going to have to hit these people up. If I've got a batch of $101 leads, I'm going to have to hit these people up a lot, or I'm going to have to get a lot more leads in order to do the exact same amount of production. So that's a big deal in this business. People are going to say no. People are going to hang up the phone. Leads are leads. The biggest thing that I kind of want to shift to here is that let's just assume that you have the light bulb moment. Let's assume you have the light bulb moment. You go through the training, you start selling insurance. The biggest enemy of yourself is you when it comes to being a good steward of your commissions. This is like the number one thing that I always talk about because I've almost put myself out of business so many times in so many different sales careers because I was not a good steward of my business. When you treat a business like a business, you realize that the money is not yours. The money is the business's money. And the business, when it can afford to, can pay you to take care of what you need to take care of in your life. But if you're treating something like a business, if I'm going to go and I'm going to open up a business, I need to make sure that I'm paying the business's bills so that I can continue to move forward in the business. So like when you're brand new, you don't have a lot of bills. The only bill that you really have is your leads. And you don't even necessarily have a requirement to get leads. All that leads do is they give you a list of people who are raising their hand. You're buying interest. You could go out and you could hustle and you could get referrals. You can talk to friends and family. That's not really our model, but if you can do it, great. It's free money if you go out and do it. But a lead is just somebody that has raised their hand saying that they're interested. So really, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are taking a serious look at how we're getting started in our business and how we're stewarding those commissions. So if you're a brand new agent on here, really basic, this is the best thing that you can do. Open up a separate bank account from your personal account. If you haven't done that already, it's not too late. Go do it. When I first got started, my wife and I, we had a conversation. We opened up a separate checking and a separate savings. We had our shared account that we did together, and we took the money that we were going to invest into leads and we put it into that different checking account and that different savings account. At that point, we went and we purchased some leads and we made sure all of our commissions went into the business account and not into our personal account. So therefore, we kept all of our personal and our business completely separate. My goal was to pay myself back first. Okay, pay myself back first. So we put $1,000 in out of our personal account. I went out and I helped, 7, 8 families. Of that, I think we had like a $5,000 deposit, took $1,000, put it back in our personal account, left the $4,000 in the business. And then here's what I didn't do. And the only reason I can say this with any authority is because in every previous business where I've made money, I've went and I've spent it all on all kinds of things. Go buy a new TV, go fill your refrigerator with groceries, go pay off a credit card. And none of those things are bad things, but you just got to be smart. So I've had agents, they make the biggest check they've ever made in their entire life, first couple weeks in the business. They spend it all. They go on vacation. They're off for 2 weeks. They come back and 1/3 of the policies that they wrote canceled, charged back. And now they've got $2,000 in chargebacks, no money for leads, no money in their account, and they're panicking because they don't know what to do. The agent who sees this from a right view, they paid themselves back, they bought more leads, and they continued to book more appointments until they figured out what that cash flow can look like in a predictable manner. So that's the thing. We're not saying don't take time off. We're not saying don't go get yourself, organic groceries in your fridge or pay off a credit card. Like you absolutely should. Like I came into the business with $53,000 in debt to the IRS from past businesses. However, the first thing that I did is I didn't take the first 53 grand that I made and immediately pay off the IRS. I would have completely starved my entire business. I would have kept my business from growing because I would have taken the gasoline in the fire and just removed it and just sucked the oxygen out of the room by taking all the money that I earned to try to pay off, this monster on my back, which was this debt, which weighed me down for like 6, 7 years before I got to Family First Life. So what I did is I realized all that the IRS required of me is to make my minimum payment. If I kept making my minimum payment, they wouldn't bother me. So there's a lot of people out there, you got credit cards, you've got bills, you got a car payment, whatever, and you want to go pay it off. I get it. You're making more money you've ever made. Great. One of the biggest mistakes one of the agents I brought into the business a couple of years ago did, he was one of the fastest growing agents I ever brought in. He helped 53 families in his first month. Incredible. And he's not in the business anymore. And I look back at the decision that he made in his first month in the business, and I feel like that was a domino that led to 2 years into his business why he's not here anymore. He took all of the money that he earned and he paid off a bunch of debt. And then he went and he took his entire business and he did it up on credit cards and somehow put himself right back into debt. And what I wish that I would have told him to do, if I would have had the hindsight to do it, is to slowly chip away at that. And because he was always, behind on his leads, he was always trying to pay off charge, all the things. And I just wish that I could have shown him how to become a better steward of the money that he has coming into this business. So this is a business where you can earn more than you've ever earned before. And that means that if you've never done a profit and loss statement, which I never had before I came into this business, where you sit down and you actually look at what's coming in versus what's going out, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to do that. I was never a person who checked my bank account every single day. I was the person who just was like checking it when I was at the register and it got declined. And I'm like, well, what happened? I thought there was supposed to be money in there. And that was the only time that I checked, but I started to treat my business like a business. So again, that's kind of the theme of tonight, is to treat your business like a business. I hate doing it, but I have a daily reminder to go check my bank account. And every time a deposit comes in, to move a piece of that deposit over into a business savings account for when shit happens, because stuff does happen, like a chargeback. You don't have money in your account and you need to buy leads still. So I always put 30% of everything that I earned into a business savings account. And if I ever had an issue where the business was low on cash flow for the week, I would borrow from my savings account to keep the business funded. So I've talked about this on a lot of different calls, but there are some new agents on here. So I wanted to make sure to go ahead and touch on that because I'm just really passionate about it. I think it can keep you out of a world of hurt. Most people won't do it. You won't listen. That's fine. But if there's like one person on here who's like, yeah, I'm going to do that, and you actually do it, and you go out and you produce, you can have 100 grand in your savings account by middle of next year. And I'm not exaggerating. You can go out and become a top producer, become a good steward of your income. You can absolutely have 100 grand in the savings account by next summer. So that's the reality. And also, if you do this the wrong way, you could be 50 grand in debt and out of the business because you did it the wrong way. And if that sounds scary, good. This business, I'd rather you be scared out of it before you go and do something incorrectly and put yourself in a world of hurt later. But this is one of the best opportunities on the planet, but you have to be willing to treat it like it. So I'll talk a little bit more about that here at the end in regards to, the type of work ethic that's required. We talked a little bit about preparing for chargebacks, paying your business before you pay yourself. This is a big one, and it should be obvious, but it never is. Don't increase your lifestyle too drastically, too quickly until you've proven the results over a sustained period of time. My wife and I, we were a one-car family until probably 8 months into the business, until I proved that I was helping 5 to 10 families every single week. And then what did we do? Did we go out and just because our business was bringing in 8 to 10 grand a week, did we go out and get a car payment that was $1,500 a month? Did we go get a truck that was $1,500 a month? No. I went and got my wife a $400 a month Toyota RAV4 payment. And we made it super simple. And then what did we do with the other car? We kept it. And I drove it around and sold insurance in it, and I still have it today. I moved from Oregon to South Carolina. I brought that car with me. It's got 260,000 miles on it. It's a 2009 Toyota Corolla, and we still have it. And we just found out we're having another baby. So now I finally got to get rid of it because we got to get like a minivan or a big SUV or something. But we didn't increase our lifestyle too quickly. We made sure that was super important before we started to, do that kind of stuff. Waited almost 3 years into the business before we purchased the house. Kept our expenses low to make sure that we continued to fuel the business. So don't increase your lifestyle too quickly. And I mentioned talking about stewarding cash flow. I've got a couple of bullet points here. Managing income and expenses. Okay, this is a big one. This is more on the mindset side. So another reality, another landmine is that business is not supposed to be emotional. It's supposed to be very logical. Again, emotions come in business very easily. If you ever catch yourself saying things like, I feel like this, I feel like the leads kind of suck, I feel like this, I feel like that, you got to stop and totally re-examine what's going on in the business. If you ever say something like, I feel like the leads suck, I feel like nobody's answering the phone, you have to totally re-examine like your skill set, what you're saying on the phone, the things that you're doing, and you have to remove whatever like outside, like I'm going to blame everything else for the reason why my business isn't working. I want to see data and numbers. If anybody calls me and they say, I feel like nobody's answering the phone. Okay, let me see. Do you have any data to back that up? How many calls have you made? How many leads do you have? How many people actually answered the phone? Of the people who actually answered the phone, how many people did you book? How many people hung up on you? And we have trackers, whether it's a piece of paper, we still have those physical trackers that you can use to track your dial day, or we've got power dialers like Phone Burner, Lead Champ Pro. It tracks everything. Some of them even record the phone calls. So when I look at somebody and they say, I feel like this, it's like, let's talk about what's actually happening. Let's examine the data and let's figure out what's actually happening. So someone goes, I feel like nobody's answering the phone. And you go, how many people did you dial? Well, I only called like 2 people. Like, well, okay, well, we don't have very good odds if you only called 2 people. I called 100 people and nobody answered the phone. Okay, now we've got something legitimate to talk about. You called 100 people, you triple dialed them, you hit the phone 300 times. We have something to talk about because I can say, okay, why is nobody answering? Hey, maybe your number got marked as spam. Legitimate solution. Let's figure out how to get you a number that's not spam. Okay. Hey, I feel like when I call people, every single person just hangs up on me immediately. Okay, well, how many people actually picked up the phone? And what did you say? And you start to figure out, and when did they hang up? Did they hang up at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the phone call? Hey, well, I'm feeling like everybody no-shows me. Okay, let's look at it. How many appointments did you actually book? How many people showed? And now we can actually break down, well, what happened? Are you actually cementing the appointment? Are you having them write anything down? Are you putting it into some type of appointment reminder? Long and short of it is, business is about data. Business is about numbers. Business is about facing the reality of things. And it's not about, getting emotional and saying, this is what I feel like is happening. It's like, no, what is actually happening? Okay. So business isn't emotional. You have to keep yourself level and keep yourself, in reality. Let's see here. Other things, just kind of as you continue to grow, creating a schedule and following it. I mean, that's a big one. Treating yourself like an employee. That's hard because you come into business to become a salesperson. I was doing a podcast earlier with a local real estate agent for this podcast that I'm involved in here in Greenville, and um, she talked about how people get into real estate because they think it's so they can have time freedom and they can be rich. And I think it's the same thing for insurance and sales just in general. But in the beginning, when you're still learning a skill set, you don't really have the right to just have complete control over your schedule. I've been in this business for 4 years. I've been in various sales careers for 12 years, and I still don't understand how anybody gives me the right to control my own schedule because I'm a horrible boss to myself. Absolutely. If I don't have a schedule, if I don't treat myself like an employee, if I don't make rules for the game that I have to follow, I'm going to get fired. So you have to treat yourself like you're an employee. And if you don't do the things you say you're going to do, you're going to get fired every single day. That's when it comes to, I set up funny rules for myself. Like I have to be in this chair dialing by 8 a.m. for the first year because that's what it took. I'm not naturally a disciplined person. This business takes discipline to learn it quickly. So I had to set up little rules for myself. I mean, things as ridiculous as on dial day, I would have to go to the bathroom and I would say, nope, you can't get up until you set one more appointment. And I'd play these little games with myself. No, you want a snack? Nope, set one more appointment. And you have to set up these rules for yourself and treat yourself like an employee until you get to the point where, again, the results become predictable. The results become predictable. You become so disciplined in the business that you've earned the right to set your own schedule. Where right now, myself and a handful of others that I could look at on this call, we've been doing this for so long, so many days in a row, that it's harder for us not to work than it is for us to work. So it's like, if we do go ahead and take a couple days off, we're itching to get back to it. And we're making sure that we're putting our schedule in a place that we're making up for the time that we have off. So creating a schedule, following it, treating yourself like an employee, earning the right to make your own schedule, and, thinking long-term. I mean, I think this is a huge thing. Like when I've been in, again, business for 12 years. I've been in 9 different businesses / sales opportunities in 12 years. I thought that 2 years was the magic number for a really long time. If I didn't make it all the way to the top and retire within 2 years, it wasn't working because there's always one story in the company of someone who goes and makes $1 million within 2 years. And you're like, oh, if I don't do that, then I'm a failure. That was always my mentality. And then I realized that like business, you have to zoom out, thinking about what am I going to do in the next 90 days, the next year, or the next 3 years or 10 years. I personally have never been in one business for 10 years. And that's the thing that I'm looking forward to. The longest I've ever been in a business, this one's coming up on it. I had 5 years in my first business and then a handful of businesses in like the 3 years in between finding this. But been in this business for just about 4 years within a couple of days here. And I just look at what can happen in the long run. I figure out and I learn this skill set. It's a skill set that nobody can take away from me. If it takes me 10 years to find 20 to 40 amazing agents who are going out there and they're helping, 40 families a month with incredible persistency, and it takes me 10 years to do it and become a multimillionaire because of it, was it worth it? Yes. I'm 30 years old. Everybody, your age is different, but 10 years on an entrepreneur journey is, it's admirable. And that's where I look at it. It's like, okay, I've been doing this for a long time. Is this working? Is this not working? When you've been doing this for 90 days, it's it's too short of a data set for you to find out if this is working or not. I think most people, they quit before they find out how good they can actually be at this business. They quit dialing, they quit selling, they quit growing before they find out how good they can actually be at this business. So super important just to kind of keep that reality. And then perspective. This is a big one. Perspective of where you were before you came here. I have it somewhere on my desk here. My desk is a mess, of course, moving home here to my home office. But I have this little card on my desk that says, I made $19,000 the year before I started selling insurance. Don't forget where you came from. And it's like, it's crazy perspective because this business is very difficult. But at the end of the day, I look at it and say, where else would I go to get results like we can get here? What else would I do? I could go start selling real estate. I could go my mom used to say, she said I was either going to be a lawyer or a used car salesman based on how I talk. So I could go sell used cars. I could sell solar, pest control. Really, sales is the only thing I could possibly do to make good money, outside of, I'm a college dropout, so I'm not going back to school and going into debt, but sales is pretty much the ticket. And of all the different sales opportunities out there are ones that you can make a lot of money. There's ones that take 90 plus days to get paid. There's ones where there's a million different things and steps in the sales cycle that could go wrong, that the commission could go away. I love insurance because probably more than half the time we get paid within 48 hours. And the other half of the time, maybe it takes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but more than half the time we get paid within 24 to 48 hours, which is just incredible, where we can find out if the client's approved right there on the spot. And I've never been able to find a business that is able to do that, and a business where we're actually selling something that people need. There's a lot of things out there that you can sell, but you can feel good about the fact that insurance is something that people need. I've said this, hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times at this point, but if you're a new agent, listen to this for the first time. My first mentor in the business, when I got into insurance, he said, welcome to the most honorable profession on the planet. At the end of someone's life, everyone's going to be reaching out and saying, gimme, 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 you owe us this, you owe us that. You're the only person reaching back to that family with a check, giving them $100,000, $10,000, $1 million, whatever that is. And it's like, you have no idea how good that will feel until you get your first death benefit and you actually deliver a benefit check. And he wasn't kidding. And I just love this industry. I love what we do. I love what we sell. I never feel like I'm twisting people's arms. I always feel like I'm helping somebody make a good financial decision for their family. So it's important to have that perspective, where you came from and what's your other option. Like, what's your other option if you don't make this work? Not to say there aren't other opportunities out there where you could be happier. But for me, I look at, based on my goals, what I'm trying to do, the things that I was trying to pay off, the lifestyle that I was trying to create for my family, the ability to have choices, where my family lived, where my kids went to school, all the things. Where else was I going to go to do it? And I personally couldn't find anywhere else. So I figured, what would it be worth for me to figure out this skill set? What would it be worth for me to figure out how to make this work? I mean, it's worth unlimited money. It's worth unlimited time invested for me to be able to have a skill set that nobody can take away from me. Where you could take away all my money, take away everything we have, but you can't take away the skill set. If you leave me with $1,000 and you say, hey, your mortgage is due in a week, are you going to buy leads or are you going to pay your mortgage? Best believe I'm going to buy leads, because even if it was $1,001 leads and that's all that I had, because the skill set that I've learned, yes, it would take a lot of time. Do I want to do this? No. Do I have the desire to dial $1,001 leads until the cows come home? Absolutely not. But if I had to, I would find some business. I would absolutely find some business. I'd pay my mortgage. I'd buy more leads, and I'd be off to the races. And I'd figure out a way to do it all over again and build it all back up from scratch. That's the skill set. You have a confidence that if I work hard, if it ever gets bad enough, Like I've had a couple of situations in FFL specifically where cash flow got a little funky. And I, thankfully was able to go talk to my wife and say, hey, listen, I got to just hunker down for like 7 days. I'm going to run more appointments than I've ever ran before, and we're going to be back to normal. And that's what happened. I had some issues where, I had a big roll up, had some chargebacks, whatever. Hey, I got to go to work. And because I've developed a skill set, it's okay. Any big thing that happens, my wife and I, we went and spent a bunch of money with the healthcare provider that our insurance ended up not covering, that ended up being the wrong healthcare provider for us. And we financed the whole thing. This just happened like 2 months ago. And now we're like $15,000 in debt on a credit card for a healthcare service that we didn't even use. And at first I was really mad about it, and I still kind of am. But also I was like, if I was working anywhere else, if I had one of my old jobs, my old position, this would have been financially devastating. Like this would have been the reason we can't pay our mortgage because we made this bad financial decision. Well, I get to go to work. I get to dust off my shoulders and say, well, that was a dumb financial mistake. I'm never going to do that one again. But I'm going to go to work and I'm just going to treat it like a chargeback, and I'm going to pay it off quickly. I'm going to go to work and I'll do 2 to 3 to 4 extra appointments a week, and this will be taken care of in 2-3 months. And that's how I look at it. So it's because of the skill set that when things like that come, you're not shaken. You're not shaken because you have a skill set to go and help people with insurance. Last thing, and we'll get back to live dial-in here. I talked about just a little bit of the work ethic that's required. I talked about people not treating it like a business. This is kind of what we'll end on. I heard Zach Tardowski say this a couple of years ago. He goes, in insurance, you can make money like a lawyer. You can make money like a doctor. You can make money like an engineer. I'm a college dropout. I didn't go to school. I don't have the training. A doctor, they go to school for what? 12 years. And they do that and they work long hours to make doctor money. Lawyer, the amount of work that they put in, the tests that they study for, again, to make that kind of money. Engineer, the education required to be able to make that kind of money. And we think that we can come into insurance and we can make doctor, lawyer, engineer money putting in like part-time fast food hours, part-time fast food effort. Now, if we treated this the same way, with the same professionalism, the same desire, the same work ethic as the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer, you'll be in a totally different place financially a year from now. You will be completely unrecognizable to the person that got started in insurance if you treat it with that level of seriousness. So again, I know tonight we didn't really talk about like, hey, here's what I say on the phone, or here's how to sell an IUL, or here's how to sell mortgage protection. But equally, it's so important, like every once in a while, just to come back on the mindset stuff, because there is an aspect in this business of resourcefulness that's so important. I can tell when somebody's going to come into this business and they're going to be very successful very quickly. It's because there's somebody that has a figure it out mentality. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't ask for help. You absolutely should. There's kind of 3 stages in this business. First, you're dependent, then you're independent, then you're dependent on. Dependent, you're brand new in the business. You're dependent on your manager to answer your questions, answer the phone, tell you what product to write, how to use the illustration tool, training, what to do, where to sign, all the things. You're dependent. Then you're independent. The independent agent is free. The independent agent doesn't need Josh to answer the phone, doesn't need Grady to answer the phone for them to make the sale. They can go to work and they can help families. Then you've got dependent on. All that dependent on is you're really good at helping the agents that you bring in go from dependent to independent. That's it. You're teaching people how to go from dependent to independent. And then there's a whole nother level, and that's when you get into like the Grady Polsons of the world. Is he's good at teaching people how to teach and coaching people on how to coach, and really just creating that whole mass level of duplication. But here's the whole reason to me even explaining that process is you have to be, if you're still dependent on your manager, If you can't make money, you can't make a sale because you're dependent on somebody else. That should make you angry. That should make you angry. And you should want to get independent as fast as possible. So nobody else can hold you back. So at the end of the day, like when people come in, they're like, oh, well, and again, apologies if you've ever been a person on my end where I haven't been the best leader in any given moment. I will 100% own up to it. But it didn't matter if Grady missed a meeting with me to tell me what product to write. It didn't matter if he didn't get on with me and tell me what was the perfect lead to buy. It didn't matter if he wasn't able to give me feedback. Of course, I still looked for it. I never gave up. I still kept calling him, still trying to get feedback, trying to be positive, get my problems and solutions, created. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter if he was there or not. I saw the vision of insurance and I was going to make it happen. I would watch every single YouTube video that Family First Life put out before I gave up. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find every resource. And I'll find, if Grady won't answer the phone, which I just want to say Grady did answer the phone a fair amount for me. But if he didn't, I'd find somebody else. I'd get on live dials. I'd be like, hey, can someone help me? I would just go above and beyond, out of my way to find the resources that I need. I would go to the websites. I'd become familiar with them. I'd find out. I remember going through Grady Polson's training website, his fflamerica.com, and clicking on every single tab on the website. Like, what's here? What's here? What's here? What's this resource? What's that resource? Going to the carrier websites and clicking on every single button just to see what was available. And it's this idea of resourcefulness. I've got agents who've been here for 2 years that still will text me for product recommendations. And honest truth is they're lazy. If you're 2 years into this business, nobody should be really giving you product recommendations unless it's for a retirement product. Honestly, when it comes to like very basic underwriting, you should be independent. And if you're still in the dependent stage, 2 years into the business, that's a problem. You're creating a ceiling for yourself. So again, like, this is meant to be positive. It's not meant to berate anybody, but in this business, in any business, but specifically this one, becoming independent in sales, not needing anybody else, is an amazing feeling. You will, you'll be able to go out and make as much money as you want to make. So it's incredible. So again, just where we kind of, started to land the plane is people want to make doctor money, lawyer money, engineer money, but they want to put in part-time fast food effort. If we work like a doctor, if we work like an engineer, if we work like a lawyer doing insurance, we will get paid like that. And we will live the lifestyle like that. And we'll have the freedom like that. So I hope this is helpful. If you're a new agent and you need help, please reach out. I can give my phone number. I'll throw it in the chat. For anybody who doesn't have it, it should be all through the boot camp, all over the websites, bottom of my email. Shelby usually shares it with everybody. But if for whatever reason you don't have it, shoot me a text. Would love to chat with you. Would love to get on, do a lead strategy session. We typically send out like a calendar invite and you can go on and book what you're looking for. I've got everything on my calendar, from doing a lead strategy session to new agent interviews to, this is a new one I just added on there, presentation assistance. So if you ever book an appointment with somebody, let's say it's a second appointment, you need help closing the appointment, you go open up my calendar, ask the client what they're free, cross-reference, book an appointment on my calendar, just put in all the leads info. I'll get on with you and I'll help you close the deal. So I've got that open on my calendar. If anyone wants that link, please let me know, and happy to share it. But otherwise, guys, lots of live dials happening tonight. I mean, it's not even 6 o'clock over here on the East Coast, which means it's only 3 o'clock on the West Coast. So there will probably be live dials until minimum 9 o'clock Eastern tonight of people who are running appointments on here. So definitely stick around, ask questions if you need to, reach out to me personally. But otherwise, I hope everybody has an amazing night, and we will see you guys here on Live Dials. And again, for our agency call next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Hope everyone has a great night, and we'll talk to you next time.